In the 14-page introduction in the Messianic Aleph Tav scriptures, I make the comment that the reason the Aleph Tav is the holy grail of the scriptures is because it unlocks the mystery to the greatest treasure man can ever hope to comprehend from the scriptures. But I stop short and do not actually explain what the greatest treasure is that the Aleph Tav reveals. Most have assumed that the mystery I speak of is the revelation which John proclaims that the Aleph Tav character symbol throughout the Tanakh represents Yeshua, the Messiah. But that knowledge is only the key to understanding what the treasure truly is. So consequently, if you cannot accept that Yeshua is the Aleph Tav, you would never see what I'm about to declare to you as to what the greatest treasure the Aleph Tav actually reveals. And that is this, that everything is an extension of the Aleph Tav. Let me say that again, and let my words sink deep into your soul and ponder them. Everything is an extension of the Aleph Tav. To grasp this revelation is to understand not only the divinity of Yeshua and who he is, but to also understand Father and who he is, and how the two have worked together as one from the foundation of the earth, and therefore understand the protocol of the Yah-head. And believe me, the Yah-head has a protocol that all creation is subject to. By protocol, I'm referring to the code of behavior that governs the procedure and workings of the Yah-head with all creation. To understand this protocol, the way the apostles understood it, is what man has been searching to unlock and arguing about for thousands of years. And the key was hidden in the Hebrew text all this time. But just recognizing the Aleph Tav represents Yeshua is only the first step. Next, by using the key to interpret the placement of the Aleph Tavs throughout the Tanakh, it unlocks the mystery to the greatest treasure, that everything is an extension of the Aleph Tav. Allow me to connect the dots. To begin with, let's start with the Apostle John's conclusion of the matter in his opening words of his gospel, whereby he clearly declares the divinity of Yeshua in that everything that was created by or through Yeshua, who was the living Word of Elohim, incarnated in the flesh, that in the fullness of time he came and tabernacled with man for the purpose to redeem man. Consequently, if everything was created through Yeshua that was created, then as a result, it is only logical to assume everything the Yah-head performs does not, cannot, and will not break that protocol. The overwhelming proof and confirmation to this is where the Aleph Tavs are placed throughout the Tanakh, starting in Genesis 1:1 and all the way to Calvary. This gives a much clearer interpretation to the prophetic declaration in Psalms 40, verse 7, which is repeated in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 7, which states, "Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the scroll. It is written of me to do thy will, O Elohim." To comprehend this in more detail, we need only to connect the dots from where the Aleph Tavs are placed throughout the Tanakh, which I have already begun explaining in a number of previous videos. Allow me to recap for a moment. In the video titled The Aleph Tav in the Creation Week, we see clearly confirmation by the placement of the Aleph Tavs that Father created everything through the Aleph Tav during that week, just as John proclaimed in his gospel. In the video titled Aleph Tav in the Sabbath and Feast Days, we see clear confirmation again that Father's Sabbath and the feast days were established through the Aleph Tav by the placement of the Aleph Tavs. Yeshua confirms this by not only declaring he is Adonai of the Sabbath, but also by fulfilling the Passover feast, by becoming the sacrificial lamb that is slain. In the video titled The Aleph Tav in All the Everlasting Covenants, we see confirmation that all the covenants that have been made, starting with Sabbath, then with Noah, Abraham, Moses, Phineas, and David, were all established by Father through the Aleph Tav, by the placement of the Aleph Tavs. In the video titled The Aleph Tav in the Sin Offering, we see confirmation again in the Hebrew word sin offering, which contains the Aleph Tav as a type and foreshadow that Father's atonement is consequently going to be through Yeshua. If this isn't amazing enough, it gets even better. The placement of the Aleph Tav further shows us that when the high priest puts on his garments, he becomes an extension of the Aleph Tav, who is our high priest, Yeshua. Then, when the priest places his hands on the sacrifice, his hands are actually an extension of the Aleph Tav. The animal at that moment, when it is received and set apart, further becomes an extension of the Aleph Tav, whereby it is presented to Father and accepted. Even the consecrated altar the animal is placed on is an extension of the Aleph Tav. And the whole priestly process is a type and foreshadow that points to what Yeshua would accomplish on Calvary. We see this symbolism again in the creation of the water of sanctification process with the sacrifice of the red heifer, and again with the ritual of the cleansing of the leper. It doesn't matter if it's blessings or divine judgments. They all come from Father through the Aleph Tav. And in all these examples and much more, the placement of the Aleph Tav reveals the divine protocol whereby everything that is performed by the Yah-head is an extension of the Aleph Tav. That is, Father working his divine will both with and through Yeshua, his Son. Further confirmation of this is all through the Gospels and comes out of the mouth of Yeshua himself. For he declared in John 14:28 that the Father was greater than he. And he also declared both the words he spoke and the works he performed were not his, but Father's divine will he was carrying out, whom Yeshua came to reveal. Even in the Garden of Gethsemane, when Yeshua was praying, he asked Father to pass the cup from him regarding his sacrifice on Calvary. But he acknowledged that it was not his will that needed to prevail, but it was Father's will that needed to be carried out. And just as sure as he was required to drink that cup, we are required to drink that cup. For a servant is not above his master. I am sure you will agree that to understand fully the eternal, everlasting protocol of the Yah-head is to unlock the mystery to the greatest treasure man can ever be given. And I can't help but feel we have only just begun to understand this mystery and its secret treasures. For these are just a few primary examples that lay an irrefutable foundation. There are hundreds, if not thousands more, waiting to be discovered. And I invite you to come with me to the next level on the greatest treasure hunt the Word can ever reveal. The working of Yeshua, our Messiah, as an extension of Father. I'm Bill Sanford, trying to put the Aleph Tav in proper perspective in our day. Shalom.